Alright, hello and welcome back to, I'm sorry I don't know how to actually post on Facebook. And the, audio, reminds me that I need to turn down the gain. There we go. So actually, welcome back to Friday Evening Trains. I do apologize for not, updating the stream schedule on Facebook as I promised. I'm a bad streamer. I don't know why you watch me. So we are starting off tonight, as we usually do in good old England, and we're going to be starting the misspelled three-parter from Marsh to Margram. Yes, so, it's a cold and wet fall afternoon. You have just taken charge of a train running from the steel plant at Marsh to Margram at Shrewsbury. The weather may be awful, but your two Class 37s will have no trouble handling your train of 20 empty flats. You'll run all the way down to Margram. Part 1 takes you to Hereford to await some faster traffic. Yes, I do know it is Margum, not Margram. I have always read it with an R until I heard it pronounced. And that was in the middle of creating this trilogy. So, the trilogy is misspelled. I will be pronouncing Margram correctly from here on out. Shrewsbury signal box. Hello, driver. There's a train inbound to the station now. You will then be allowed to proceed south. Remember, your maximum permitted speed is 60 miles an hour. Never remember where that series ends, where trains defaulted to having the cab light on by default, but it's an annoying one. Since you wouldn't really have the cab light on in normal operation. I am playing with an Xbox controller. I picked up one on sale about a week ago, and so have been messing around with that. I should say we are on the Welsh Marches line, the excellent route from Bossman Games. I thoroughly enjoy this route, and definitely need to get back to making some content for it, because I haven't done that for a while. Should get the signal here in a moment. Maybe. Maybe not. There we go. So this scenario is obviously set in BR Blue. I think I was aiming for somewhere around the mid-80s. I do have the track enhancement pack from Armstrong Powerhouse installed. Very. I think it's actually a great addition. I didn't really think it would do that much, but it really enhances really every route it applies to. So yeah, definitely an excellent addition. As are all Armstrong Powerhouse add-ons, as I'm coming to find as I slowly add to the collection. This isn't Armstrong Powerhouse. This is, or nothing in here is Armstrong Powerhouse. This is all here we go. This is all let's do the thing where it's not raining on the outside of the cab again. Oh, there it goes. Certain angles. Yeah. It is doing that thing though where the running numbers on the Class 37 are on the ground though, so that's fun. But yeah, nothing in here is Armstrong Powerhouse. For one thing, I don't own either of the Armstrong Powerhouse Class 37 packs, although I do eventually plan to pick those up. And there's just not a lot of kind of... Well, I guess there is. I shouldn't say that. There's not a lot of BR Blue era stuff available on AP, because there is. I just don't own the majority of it. Well, that's also not true. But, well, I don't know. I'm going to stop waffling and instead just run the scenario. Line speed is going up to 70 here in just a second. We are, of course, limited to 60. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But until then, we can have some nice clag. Line speed is dropping to 60 just ahead, but we don't have to worry about that. Overboard warning for the upcoming 60. Shutting off the power there. As we were about to hit 60, the lane speed is going back up to 70. So this route's kind of fun because, obviously, as you can see, it's got a combination of color light and semaphore signaling, which is always cool. It's always fun to see busy mainline routes with semaphores, which you actually get quite a bit of in Wales. Between this route, lines west of Swansea, and on the North Wales coast. So, speed limit is dropping to 50 up ahead. Braking. It's braking a little too early there, but that's fine. Quite a load. I guess in case any of you were wondering, I have been getting smoked out the last few days. Fortunately, I don't have any respiratory issues, so I was pretty much unaffected in that sense. Obviously, it's been kind of hazy. And it smelled a bit like smoke at times, but other than that, hasn't really changed too much in my day-to-day, but... Canada's gonna have to do a lot worse, so that's all I have to say. Even empty, we're kind of struggling up this grade here. I think it's just BDAs. I might have snuck in a few YLAs, but I can't remember. See if I can tell. Just make it easier. BDA, 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 BDA. These are all just BDAs. Yeah. Are we passing there anywhere, especially Welsh, in this part? I don't think so. Craven Arms, Wolferton, Lowminster, and Hereford. Oops. That's good. This route generally isn't too Welsh. Church Stratton, I think there's one, which is Cumbraun. But even then, that one's not, like, difficult. Yeah, Cumbraun. I feel like there's Abergavenny. Monty pull one new in. Yeah, I don't know. thought there was at least one, but maybe I'm just crazy. But if I haven't mentioned any other offhand Welsh locations, I'm just going to apologize for the absolute butchery I'm about to inflict on you people. I'm very sorry to any Welshies who find this. Your country is very beautiful. It's just that your language isn't. Welshies. Welshmen? I don't know. I don't remember what you call someone from Wales. Or what their, demonym? With word warning for an upcoming 80. I'm not sure why, because I'm pretty sure the line speed is... I guess it might be 90 at this point. But in any case, it doesn't affect us, so... Trying to keep the speed balanced as we come off of this downward grid here. The line speed is going up to 90, which again doesn't affect us. See, Morpeth board warning for a 90 over 40. It's not even on the HUD yet. Oh, cool. It's just not marked on the HUD. That's fun. Speed limit's back up to 90. Is it passing Craven Arms up goods loop? I think it's up. Oh no, it's the down goods. I don't know. I'm passing Craven Arms Station. And up ahead here, diverging off to the right, is the Heart of Wales line, which goes through an extremely rural part of Wales. I think a couple of the bottom 10 most used stations in the UK are located on the Heart of Wales line. And so that kind of meanders down to, oh god, Clinically? I don't know. I'm so sorry. And then from there, either onto Carmarthen or back towards Swansea. Line speed is dropping down to 80. Wolferton, Leominster, Damn it. Some especially long signal blocks on this stretch. It's kind of interesting. This route really being the only, well, I guess not the only. The primary north-south link, or link between North and South Wales, I guess aside from the Heart of Wales line, which really doesn't have the capacity for much more than it sees now. You get quite the variety of services here, so you get trains from Milford Haven, Fishguard Harbour, Swansea, Cardiff, all kind of getting funneled up through this route, and then on the places such as Chester, Manchester, Birmingham, Llandudno, and Bangor, and Holyhead. As well as trains like this one from between Margram and the other one, Marsh. Some timber traffic down to Baglan Bay. Aggregate trains to Morton-on-Lug and Cotton Hill. And then, not so much anymore, but this also used to see quite a bit of coal traffic out of the facilities at Portbury on the Portishead branch near Bristol. But obviously that has kind of all dropped off in the last few years. But you would get trains bound for, I think, Rugeley, Fiddler's Ferry, I think even Iron Bridge, possibly. Line speed's going back up to 90. Doing a solid job of keeping her at 60 here. It's about 3 1/3 miles to go to Wolferton. I tell you, even though this is the Welsh Marches line, most of it is in England. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure between, like... Hold on. The Maps doesn't want to load. Let's see. Ooh. I was talking about what a good job I was doing. Let's see. There we go. Alright, let's see. Oh, we're on a downhill section, that's why. Oh, yeah, okay. So between, let's see, a couple miles north of Abergavenny and oh, in Shrewsbury, you're in England, you're not in Wales. Which I think is funny. I honestly thought Shrewsbury... I forgot Shrewsbury is in England. I thought it was in Wales, so... So yeah, the Welsh marches is a lie. It's barely Welsh at all. Makes you wonder how many other lies have we been told. Is the Highland Line really in the Is the West Highland Line really in the West Highlands? Is the Highland Main Line really in the Highlands? Is the Far North Line even really that far north? Is the Great Eastern Main Line really that great? Is the Great Western Main Line even really that great? And I gotta say, for something called the East Coast Main Line, it sure as heck doesn't spend too much time on the coast. And don't even get me started on the supposedly West Coast Main Line. At least on the East Coast Main Line, you do see some water at some point. The West Coast, all you get is hills. Says as he kicks it again. We're on fairly level ground at this point, so it shouldn't be too hard to maintain speed. This route is a lot more, I don't want to say challenging, but there's more to do in a passenger service, because you have a lot more kind of incremental speed changes if you're following line speed. Since we're limited to just 60 anyway. We're under the line speed pretty much the whole time. I think the one freight speed change isn't even marked on the HUD, so... Actually, saying that container train kind of reminds me that it also, this line was also once a major conveyor of speed link traffic into the marshalling yard at Severn Tunnel Junction. Passing through Lowminster now. So I think our next instruction will be the stop at Hereford. Yes, indeed. For some reason, this Morpeth board doesn't have a AWS ramp, even though all the other 10-mile-an-hour speed limit changes have had Morpeth boards. Although I don't think a 10-mile-an-hour speed change is enough to warrant a Morpeth board. I could be wrong about that, but I thought it was anything above 10 miles an hour difference. Certainly 5 mile an hour. 5 mile an hour differences almost never have them. Actually, who is it that did their backdated Southwestern main line that has... Was that Vulcan or was that backdated Transit? Yeah, I don't think it was them. have been Vulcan. Railways of Devon and Cornwall. Need to do some braking here. Some more board for the upcoming 65. Which I don't even know why I'm braking for. There's a brain fart for you. Oh well, it's not important. Hereford signal box. Hello, driver. I have lined you into the down relief at Hereford. Make sure you pull up to the signal at the end of the platforms. Got a little over 4.5 miles to go. Ah, yeah. It's a mug exchange sighting. That's only a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit change. So that explains why I didn't get a Morpeth Ward. Oh no, it's right here. It's Shellwick Junction. Thought it was Shell something. So we're now passing Shellwick Junction, where the line from Worcester joins us. And then from Worcester, Mass, you can either go north to Birmingham or east to London Paddington via the Cotswold line. Speed limit is dropping down to 40 up ahead, and then 20 as we come into Hereford. It's a rather long coal train. Although it is empty, so. Got a feather with an arrow. A signal with an arrow letting us know that we are turning on to the relief line instead of going into one of the platforms. So got it almost down to 20. There. So obviously Hereford, a pretty major station. Obviously, you have all the through service on the Welsh Marches. In addition, you have the Birmingham to Hereford and London to Hereford services that both terminate here. So, pretty significant station. Is that a parcels platform, or did I just stick those there? Oh no, it's platform 1. Oops, bumped the Windows key. I don't have to pull all the way up to the signals, but I do want to make sure that I can properly sight them. Ease us to a stop here. Good work. You shouldn't have a long wait, so just sit tight. Scenario complete. So that was part 1 of From Marsh to Margram. My greatest shame. It's a good scenario. But, that is going to do it for the English portion of tonight's stream. So I'm going to take a couple minutes and then we'll hop across the pond. So I will see you back here in just a second. Okay, good. Okay, so, bit of a rain theme today. That was unintentional. But I guess rain's on my mind because we haven't gotten a whole lot lately, and things do be a little crunchy around here. So, I guess that's yeah. Okay. So this is coal collaboration. A soggy spring morning finds you in control of a Western Maryland coal train running from Elkins, West Virginia to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. This train will be handed off to the Reading at Hagerstown, Maryland. You have stopped at Hampshire and are waiting permission to continue along the Thomas subdivision to Cumberland, where another crew will forward the train to Hagerstown. You have a trio of WM-SD-35s for power. WM's Thomas sub isn't too busy at the moment, so you'll have a clear run to Cumberland. I like how DGD had to include the catenary for the 155 there, even though it wouldn't have like taken away from the image to not have it. WM Extra 7435 East to Thomas Sub Dispatch. We have arrived at Hampshire and are requesting permission to proceed east to Cumberland. Out. WM Thomas Up Dispatch. Dispatch to WM Extra 7435 East. You have orders from Hampshire to Knobmount Yard and Cumberland. Any opposing moves will be cleared off the main before you pass. Dispatch lights. Class lights. Number lights. We need to release the independent brake. We are on the B&O Mountain Subdivision route developed by High Iron Simulations. Oh my god, can't talk today. Also known as Gary Dalzell. It's another really excellent route. I thoroughly enjoy driving this route. This, of course, is the portion of the Thomasville subdivision that is included with that, or in the route, I should say. You have a 10-mile-an-hour speed restriction coming up. As we are descending 1%, I'm going to put on some braking. Just about down to 10, but this route is kind of annoying. Not this route. This stretch is kind of annoying because since most of the train is still on the downhill grade, it's going to kick you forward more. And so it's really annoying trying to control your speed on this section. see it pretty much instantly is regaining the speed. I'm gonna do that again without the stupid frickin' free camera thing hovering over it. There you go. Even if it's not showing the rain, it's a little more fun to hang out on the outside on this route. So it's kind of fun. The Western Maryland holds a pretty special place in my heart. One of my foremost formative railfan experiences as a kid was a trip behind 734 at the Western Maryland Scenic, which is located in Cumberland. And runs up this, or what's left of this portion up to Frostburg, Maryland, and is currently home of 1309, the final Baldwin locomotive built in the United States for domestic use. Final Baldwin steam locomotive built, I should say. It's not the final locomotive Baldwin ever built, bar none. They did soldier on for a few years as a diesel manufacturer, unsuccessfully. And so, yeah, that's really kind of one of my kind of earliest memories of trains is visiting the Western Maryland Scenic. So it definitely has a special place in my heart. I've been back to Cumberland just once since then, but I do want to go back. So yeah, even if the Western Maryland is kind of the younger brother to the Baltimore and Ohio in a lot of ways, it's definitely got one of the more just outlandish liveries. Like, come on, red and white like that. Although it's a terrible color scheme for a 70s railroad, because none of them could afford to, especially like it was always chosen by like railroads that couldn't like maintain them like very well, and so like within a couple of years they just looked awful, because of course white shows like every speck of dirt imaginable. Like if you look at late stage Lehigh Valley locomotives where they just went with the pure white paint scheme, like that was also a terrible choice. Those things looked awful. By the time Conrail came around. But Dan, like the 5 minutes it was clean, that was a good looking livery. We're almost through the 10-mile-an-hour limit here. For a photo coming off the shed. Yeah, pretty much, Code Monkey. Not much else. One more brake application here. As we cross the river, whose name I totally know. And I'm not looking at Google Maps to double check the name of. Boy. Is that Terra Alta? No, that's Kaiser. That's what I need to be looking for. Whose first thought was the game having crashed. Oh no, it crashed as I was navigating the menu to start this scenario, so didn't lose much of anything. Whistlet. Oh, it is the Potomac. Okay. That's what I thought. Speed limit is going up to 49. And if you're wondering why the speed limit is 49 and not something normal, that's because this is dark territory. So it is unsignaled, so it's operating under train orders. Slash, I think, track warrant control is the modern term for it. And so basically, under federal regulations, that means we are limited to 49 miles an hour in this territory. The adjacent B&O main is... it would have killed them to say 50, Monkey. It really would have. Because, you know, there's such a big difference made by that extra mile an hour, you know. Oh, no, you're absolutely right, but, you know. But as I was saying, the adjacent Baltimore and Ohio main is, I think, under automatic block signaling. I don't think it's CTC. Or centralized traffic control. So, because it has actual like block signals, the limiting factor then is the track condition. Although, for some reason, federally defined track conditions are round numbers. So, like, what is it? Class 2 track, I think, is 25 miles an hour. Shoot, I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. But it's non-intuitive. The lower the number, the lower quality of the track. So, like, class 2 track is only good for, I think I said 25 miles an hour, but a higher class of track is or a higher class of track is rated for a lower speed. Oh wait, no, sorry. A higher class of track is rated for a higher speed, which kind of makes sense when you phrase it like that. But if you just say class 1 track, you'd think that would be the best track. But it's not. It's actually the worst. I'm gonna look it up because I don't remember. Stop red. Okay, so class 1 is. Oh, so there's accepted, not ACC EPT, EXC EPT, which is less than 10 miles an hour. Class 1 is 10 miles an hour. Class 2 is 25, for freight, I should say. Class 3 is 40 for freight, 60 for, that one wasn't unmarked, I'm just not paying attention. Class 3 is 40 miles an hour for freight, 60 miles an hour for passenger. Class 5 is 80 miles an hour for freight, 90 for passenger. Class 6 is 110 miles an hour. Class 7 is 125. Class 8 is 160. And Class 9 is 220. I don't believe there currently exists... Oh no, there exists a little bit of Class 8 on the Northeast Corridor, and there currently exists no Class 9 track in service, although the California high-speed rail system, when that finally comes into service, will be Class 9 track. Most of your track in the U.S. is going to be Class 4, possibly Class 5. Or Class 3, kind of in there. Most of your branch line and short line track is going to be Class 1 and 2. Some of it is accepted, and then most of the Northeast Corridor is Class 6 and Class 7. Technically, by that metric, most places in the world don't have Class 9 track. Yeah, because that's 350 kilometers an hour. Although, most places in the world also have actual high-speed rails, so... I can't talk too much shit. No, probably not. Yeah, because the LGV is 320. As I say, I don't think even HS2 is going to be 350. For sure. I mean, train simulators not, or most TSC routes don't do the best at simulating both old and, or don't do the best at simulating old and worn out track. There are a couple of routes that have done it to some effect, but for the most part, most routes are just kind of laid. Like, the best example I can think of is on the racetrack route. The West Chicago branch is, like, laid exactly like the main line. Even though it's, like, old, crappy, jointed rail. Like, if you just looked at it in the simulator, you'd be like, why is this nicely graded and, you know, nice-looking line, only 20 miles an hour? And it's like, well, I can tell you from experience because, it's crappy, jointed rail that, you know, is maintained to a bare minimum. Which is why it's 20-mile-an-hour track. Yeah, no, it's a great route, Pork Belly. I really love that route. As a suburban Chicago native, so I'm not biased at all. Right. Or like on the Marias Pass route, where like all the yard tracks are laid with like deep ballast and concrete ties, and I'm like, come on, guys. Right, and I mean, there are developers that can be bothered with shenanigans, because, like, if you look at Stevens Pass and the Montana Highline routes, those have a mixture of um, concrete and wooden rail. You have kind of more shoddy looking uh, um, yard tracks and such, so it can be done. It's just a matter of, how much care and effort you're willing to put into it. Which, like I said, I think this route is fantastic. Obviously, for 49 miles an hour, this has to be decent track. So, I'm not trying to imply that, care wasn't taken in this route. I think it absolutely was. I think all of the high iron routes so far have been really good. Both of them, I guess. This and the Hanover sub, I think, are both really good. But, I think there's a lot of routes that you can kind of argue as being little more than, like, I guess the closest equivalent would be, like, asset flip games on Steam, where it's just like, yeah, we're just recycling the same thing, over and over. Which I know is a complaint a lot of people have about DTG, but I think RSS Low is really guilty of that. From what I've seen, obviously, I don't play a lot of mainland European routes. So I can't speak to that directly, but I have seen reviews that have been complaining about what's up, Maggie? That have been complaining about the shoddy quality of RSS Low routes, so and I mean, just anecdotally, you can go look on Steam, and like all of the RSS Low routes come with the OEBB 1116. Let gravity do some of the work here. And by some of the work, I mean all of the work. especially, mostly because I didn't set up any AI conflicts on the Western Maryland tracks. Why is it worse? So if I had tried to do that, that probably wouldn't have worked too well, because I don't think this route has, like, invisible signals. So, like, this train, I mean, I didn't even assign a driver to, so it was just kind of sitting in the siding there. But the Baltimore and Ohio portion, which is the main draw of the route, does actually have signaling. As you can kind of see as we go by the various signals on the route. So, but as long as you don't try and set up any, like, meets in the unsignaled territory, it's really no different. Yeah, exactly. Which I think it did generate, because technically it's a static conflict, or a static consist in the same quote-unquote block as the player train. But yeah, I do think if the signal, or if there were invisible signals, it would make it easier to do. So you could set up invisible signals at the various sightings, and then it would kind of look like it's unsignaled territory. But the in-game dispatcher would be able to essentially dispatch it as normal. Which I believe is the method used on the Colorado and Southern route. Well, see, the idea is you wouldn't communicate invisible signal states to the player, because there wouldn't be signals there in real life. So you would just have to either kind of keep the signaling rules in mind, so that the player doesn't encounter a red signal if it's, a career scenario, or you just need to make sure for a standard scenario or whatever you have game over SPADs turned off. But yeah, essentially you would the whole point of invisible signals is that the game's internal dispatching logic is able to function, and then as a scenario creator, you would have to have the mid-scenario pop-ups act as, train orders, or track warrants, whatever the case may be. So, kind of like I did at the beginning of the scenario, you kind of simulate that communication between the engineer and the dispatcher through the pop-ups. It's kind of like how on the Just Trains Kyle of Lock House route, since that doesn't have actual RETB signaling, it uses the in-game pop-ups to kind of simulate that communication. Although in that case, you are communicating the signal aspects to the player, which, like I said, isn't what you'd be doing for this. Yeah, so there's not any kind of signaling. And to kind of put a bow on this, that's not necessarily a criticism of the TSC dispatching logic. I don't know how other simulators do it, and I don't know a way you could necessarily effectively do it without, cheating with invisible signals, because, I mean, the basic problem is you're trying to make a computer do what a computer never did in reality. Because, like, the whole point of train orders is that you didn't have, computerized signaling, on a route. So it's still a human kind of... Oh, I mean, even with centralized traffic control, it's still a human making the decision. But it's stupid easy to simulate centralized traffic control, because you essentially... combine it with the train priorities, and then, it can kind of do whatever it wants. It can control the switches, it can control the signals, and, the signals can follow the appropriate logic. So, I mean, yes, it's a human making the decision, but it's still something a computer could do, because it's a very simple logic. But, well, I don't want to say simple logic, but I mean, it's something you could theoretically teach an AI to do. Do it effectively is... But... like, if you... like, Run 8's auto-dispatcher is kind of a similar thing, where it can observe train priorities, and then, it can kind of make decisions about, where to stage meets, and stuff like that. But it's also not perfect, as I've discovered, but it does a decent enough job. I forgot you're technically speeding if you get up to 49.1. Come on. But with, like, getting back to my original point, but with, like, routes like this without signaling, there's not ever been a computer involved in that kind of process. And especially when you had, like, physical train orders, that had to be, punched out on a telegraph and then copied down by, the dude at a station, usually in the middle of frickin' nowhere, and then physically handed to the crew, for them to read. And so, like, that's not a that's not something that, you know, a computer is necessarily equipped to handle. Either giving or receiving, because how do you tell a computer wait until... I mean, you can tell it easy enough, wait till train passes, but you need to define that variable for the code. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the roundabout... the way... It's kind of the point I'm getting to in a roundabout way. But there's two sides of the coin. You need to... Because you need to define, what train is, to the computer, you almost kind of have to rely on the scenario creator to be able to kind of program that in, because you can't just define a general variable in the code, because not everybody names their trains the same way, in a scenario. I guess, maybe. Yeah, because I was reading the signal enhancement, the Armstrong Powerhouse signal enhancement pack manual today, and that's basically how they implemented a lot of that stuff. Was they just made track link objects that then require the what? The Armstrong Powerhouse signal enhancement pack. I forget. It came out a while ago. There's the link. Oops. Oh, that's not a crossing. I'm not sending you anything, Twix. I'll show you links. Oh god. WM non-mount yard foreman. Non-mount yard to WM extra 7435 east. Please direct your train to Maryland Junction, Elkins track 1 for your crew change. The automatic switch at the yard limit is locked, but you will be in charge of all switches inside the yard. Non-mount yard routes. Oh. Bravo. Bravo. All my slack ran in. Guess I have a 30 coming up. Your puns never cease to amaze me, Twix. Is that a threat or a promise? A bit of both. Ooh. Why are you sheeshing me, Twix? Nope, don't want that. Makes it sound like he's dead. Don't you dare say his name. 15-mile-an-hour limit for entering the yard. Yes. I think it's the easiest way to answer that question. Just the one. Oh, those are rookie numbers, Code Monkey. Yeah, it actually got here like an hour ago, so as soon as I'm done with the stream here, I'm gonna go install it. So. And then wait 5 years while my entire 375 gig Train Simulator folder copies over to it. Yeah, that's what I did from my last when I switched from my laptop to my my current setup. Was I just transferred everything over. Of course. Nothing's allowed to be easy. Oh, of course. So this is Knobmount Yard. This is Western Maryland's main yard in Cumberland, or one of them at least. Not to be confused with Baltimore and Ohio's Cumberland Yard, which is well, in this era, is a massive hump yard. It's not anymore. CSX did close down the hump a few years ago now. Might have even been pre-COVID. Okay, good. If you've noticed the destination to or distance to destination counter not ticking down, That's just because I'm not taking the path the game expected me to take through the yard. Um, but you can see that the destination is popped up on the HUD. Um, so it does mean we're on the right path. We're just not on the expected path. Yeah, see, there we go. Just dropped down by more than a mile because we just gained the expected path. A little bit of floating scenery. Nothing to see here. I forgot to set a passenger view. See the engine facility over there. Not quite ready to stop yet. Nice gentle stop. I think I put the chassis switchers here. That's kind of like the implication being that they would have like taken a transfer, I think, over from the chassis yard. Good yard. You can leave the train here and head over to the yard office for a warm cup of joe. Scenario complete. Alright. 14 times. I don't think it was that many. Oh well. That's going to do it for this evening. As a reminder, everything you see here can be viewed, or can be played, on the Steam Workshop. Link is, on the Twitch homepage or in the YouTube description. Don't forget YouTube Porkbelly. Don't forget about the Enhanced series. The link to that should also be added to the Twitch homepage, but will also be in the YouTube description. I have a Facebook that I promise to post on and then don't. Link to that is also on the Twitch homepage or in the YouTube description. No stream next week. I am going to be out of town. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. Until then, I will see you later.